Hey, Toby, you're on with Selena.
Hi.
Selena, before we get started, I'm going to love on you for a minute. Do you know why?
Oh, no, why?
Because we come from the same place. And when you're born and you come from a state like we come from, there are things about us, we're wired differently when it comes to our heart.
I couldn't agree more.
I want people to know how big your heart is, Selena. You, first of all, you're named after somebody who, if she was alive, I think she would be very, very proud to know that you're her legacy. That's number one.
Oh, my gosh, thank you.
Number two, the things you have done with your fame, I don't think people talk about enough. From the things you've done with the UN to the things you've done for dogs in Puerto Rico. I mean, your heart is boundless, and it is a privilege to talk to you today. And I hope that my daughter grows up to be just like you.
Oh, my gosh, you're going to make me cry. Thank you.
You know, and we have mutual friends, you know, that I work with at Kiss in Dallas, Billy the Kid and stuff, and we talk about how great the Selena we know is. And, you know, sometimes when we read these things in papers and we hear all the stuff that the world wants to talk about, you know, we sit back and we realize how great you really are because your heart just beats so pure. And before we talk about the music, I just wanted you to know that I acknowledge that. And I think that you
I
are...
really appreciate that. That's so sweet. Thank you for saying that.
Of all the things you've been able to do to change the world, to make an impact, what's been the one thing that's the most meaningful to you?
I would have to say being somewhat of a role model for these girls. I think there was some sort of pressure at first, and obviously I'm not perfect by all means, but...
Are any of us?
Exactly, but when the mistakes are happening or when I'm living my life, I think I always just try my hardest to pick myself back up for those girls, so that whatever it is that they're dealing with, like, I can just carry all the baggage for them, so that I can just go on that stage and tell them that it's okay that they're not like this or following a trend or that they don't come from money. Like, it's okay that you're who you are and figuring out what you want to be. And for where I'm from to where I am now, in a million years, I never thought I'd be where I am, but I'm constantly working and striving to be better, and all I want is them to do the same for themselves.
Well, if you're the face of pop music on behalf of Texas, then we ought to just make you the global ambassador for good to the world because you've earned it and you've done an amazing job.
You're sweet.
No,
Thank you.
well, the truth is, Selena, my daughter's eyes lit up the other night at Taylor's show when she saw you on that big screen with all of the friends and stuff talking about different things. And it's just, so it's very cool to talk to you today. And it's very, very cool to cheer you on as your music continues to evolve. I mean, Good For You is just brilliant. It's sexy. It's sultry. It's you pushing the edges of you, and I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the first single off the new album, and I didn't know what I wanted it to be. It was kind of a time where I was like, what am I going to say? And I knew that it had to be something that was my tone, something that I could, separate myself from other artists. And I think it was just exactly what I wanted. And the album is so different. There's so many different kinds of music on the record, so I'm excited for people to hear everything.
Now, what haven't we heard yet that you're most proud of? You've got to pull back the veil just a little bit.
I mean, honestly, there's a song about kindness on the album that I think is insane. It's so true and authentic to who I am. And, I was trying to find another Who Says, because that's one of my favorite songs that I've ever done. And I wanted to find a couple of those moments, and I have that on the album. I think my fans are going to be really excited.
Now, personally, when it comes to the business, you're on top of the game. Like, I don't think people give you enough credit for being the astute business leader that you are. You've got new relationships now behind the scenes when it comes to record companies and whatnot. And with that comes new freedom. Tell me a little bit about that.
It was exciting because in the past, I'm not quite sure I even knew how to be directed in the right way, meaning I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. I don't know what was going to make me different. And now I come into this situation and I have it all, I have it all to myself, and I really needed to step up to the plate. So I kind of wanted to push the boundaries and work with other people that I'd never worked with before. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. And then I just would go in the studio, and I spent so much time figuring out what was going to make this record special. And to have the support of the people around me that know and get it, it's incredible. I don't think anything I haven't had one problem yet on the album. I mean, I've had difficulties picking what I wanted or figuring out how I was gonna position it, but it's amazing.
Now, your colleagues, people you've worked with in the past, they gush about how you are in the studio. They say, and I'm quoting one producer very directly from a previous interview I did when he released his music. He said, working in the studio with you is magical. Things just happen that you don't expect. It's like lightning in a bottle. Tell me about being in the studio. Where does this come from? Because if you can bottle it and sell it, you'll make billions.
Oh, no, I love being in the studio, and I think there's this urge in me to want to like bring out something inside of my voice that I've not done yet. I'm all about challenging myself, so I like working with people who can bring that out of me. And I don't know, it just happens. I don't know, it's just fun. I enjoy being in the studio.
Tell me about the most ridiculous in-studio moment where something just went so completely wrong, but it still exists somewhere in a recording that you laugh about every time you think about it.
There's definitely tons of like 1 a.m. recordings of things where I'm like, I thought that was good. I'm like, what on earth was I thinking? But I will say there was one time I was in the studio, I was starving, I was so hungry, and I was like, when is the food coming? They're like, it's almost here, just keep recording. And they had held my food an hour because they liked the desperation of my voice because I was hungry. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I was so mad. I had a burrito afterwards, so I was fine, but I was so mad.
All right, now let me ask you this. What do you choose when you're desperately hungry in the studio and you have a choice? You can either have really amazing tamales or you can have Whataburger. Which way do you go?
Oh my gosh, you're breaking my heart. That's so frustrating. I don't know. It just depends on what kind of tamales they are, because if they're my grandma's, then I want those. But I really want the biscuits and gravy or the Texas toast.
Oh, I hear you, man. It's been so bad for my gut. I have look, I'm just saying, I'll go to Equinox later today. I will be at Equinox after the show.
Now you won't. It's fine. Eat your Whataburger.
One last thing I want to ask you before I let you run. And this is something that I was thinking about on the way in because I had to drop my daughter off at mom's house and then come in here to talk to you. What would you now say to the 11-year-old Selena Gomez, knowing what you've been through, knowing what you've heard, seeing the things you've seen, the experiences you've had in life, good, bad, whatever. What would you say to that younger Selena Gomez to keep her motivated, going, and embracing life the way you have now?
I would say that we have great things coming, that I have a purpose, and I'm doing everything right. Because there's so many moments, I think, where I think when I was 11, I had somebody even say I would never be strong enough to hold my own show, and I was auditioning for Disney. And I auditioned, and I kept going, and nothing in my heart stopped me, even though I was devastated. I just felt like this was my purpose. This is what I was supposed to be doing. And I think at 11, I didn't know that I could just be comfortable knowing I am supposed to be here.
If there's any one thing I can say about this woman that I'm on the phone with today, is number one, it's a privilege to talk to you. Number two, her heart is bigger than the state she was born in. And in fact, I just don't know if the world has enough room to hold the goodness that she has in it. And I mean that sincerely, because I think when you strip away everything and you look at everything you've done with your success, it speaks volumes about you. Thank you for being a role model to my daughter and for your art.
You're making me cry.
It's just, look, I mean this, and I just really felt like I needed you to know that we see this and we know this. So thank you for being you. You're amazing. And you know what? I can't wait to see you on tour because I'm going to give you a big hug. And then my daughter's going to want to talk to you about singing.
Oh, good. Okay. I will see you soon.
The great Selena Gomez is here. Go download her music and request it everywhere.